Hi everyone, welcome to Renegade Healer. After a long summer hiatus, I have taken a break to kind of save my energy to spend time with my children, which was critical, and have given myself a couple of weeks to recover because with fatigue comes some pretty clumsy, clunky speech. So I'm hoping to be a little more fluid for you today. And I'm going to, as always, try to keep it brief so that if you're watching, it's short enough. And always consider just listening instead of watching. Save your screen time for something else. Um, for today, I wanted to just kind of check in because I've had some developments, and I think that often when I have developments, it's good to share them because a lot of people have commented on how similarities or parallels are comforting to them and sort of help them feel less alone. Um, and also it's just kind of somehow nice for me to share. I don't know how to explain that, but I think a lot of us can relate. So, if you've been following along, you will know already that I was waiting for a MRI and a neuroconsult, both of which I've had over the last several weeks. My MRI was a little bit of a surprise because I actually did get a visible result. I don't know if I say it correctly, but I think it's a hemosiderin. It's basically a blood stain on my brain. And that sounds dramatic, but I've come to understand that it's not necessarily true. It just indicates that the earlier injury, or the initial injury, was maybe a little more significant than we thought from the first CT scan, that there was a bleed, probably a small, slow bleed, which is why it wasn't picked up initially, but that blood stain is the remnants. It's located in the cerebellar region, left cerebellar region, which sort of adds validity to the experiences that I have, the symptoms that I have with cognitive difficulties and memory and aphasia or speech difficulties. The cognitive and speech difficulties are definitely the things that are most disruptive to my life, and I continue to struggle with them. I think that it's difficult to they come up at different times and inconsistently, which is really a challenge because it's difficult for people to adjust themselves to you when they're not really sure where you're at from one day to the next, and your symptoms don't necessarily show themselves in a way that helps people to gain an understanding. So what I find is that my speech difficulties, my aphasia, is more difficult when I'm tired, nervous, excited, or caught off guard. What I find is that once I get speaking and I sort of settle into a pattern, it gets better. But it's not easy, especially with people who haven't spent a lot of time around me. So that's been big, and that's definitely still ongoing. Yeah, so that's that. I did see a neurologist, and I found that to be a very interesting experience, both personally and professionally, because I experienced what I felt was a lot of judgment and preconceived ideas, and definitely assumptions made about my mental health simply because I was emotional during the appointment. And I'm going to talk about some of that in another segment, but I think that the thing that I wanted to convey. Not sure if that's the right word, but I just wanted to focus on for today was sort of my personal journey. So, subsequent to the MRI results and kind of co-joined with the visit with the neurology, I have been labeled as completely disabled for my work purposes. So that means that I'm currently unable to return to my work, and thankfully I'm being assisted through a disability pension through my work. Hopefully this is temporary. But part of the journey to get back to work will be switching medications, coming off of the antidepressants that we've been hoping would help with my cognitive symptoms, and trying stimulants. So stay tuned for that. But I'm actually open to trying it and kind of excited at the possibility that something else could be helpful. And then the other piece is that I will be, I have been referred and will be participating in some cognitive testing, which I'm super happy about, because it'll help me understand really on paper what my baseline is, and help me figure out where to put my energy and where to set my limits. And I'm really excited about that, so stay tuned for that. But the decision, when the decision came that labeled me or offered me this distinction as fully disabled, I was really surprised at the impact that it had on me emotionally, because I mean, I work in mental health and I work with people who are on disability, and I have no stigma or judgment, and I didn't expect to have any negative reaction, but there's something about seeing yourself described on paper in a clinical way that is a bit of a kick. And it took me a couple of days to let that sink in and register. And the notion of disability to me is really kind of messy and messed up, because nobody's actually disabled, completely disabled in particular. And we all have skills and abilities, and I believe that fully. But I had to let myself feel the feelings of having that said. I guess it's the power of words. And then make a decision about how I would move forward. And I guess for me, the decision I made was based on a really concrete belief system, which is, I really do believe that expectation is one of our biggest causes for suffering. That I think that we have so many expectations that we place on ourselves and people around us and society and community, and we set ourselves up for disappointment, because when our expectations are heavy and inflexible, inevitably things aren't always going to go as you wish. So disappointment. So being able to let go of expectation is really important, and just being able to embrace the unknown and move without a plan, without always having to have everything laid out for you. And that's hard. But I believe that those things are really important, and I believe that when you can do that, when you can let go of expectation and just make yourself available for what comes next, that's like a really, really powerful way to fill your life with joy. And so that's sort of what I decided, and I kind of put it out on my personal social media that this is the turning of a page for me and what I'm calling a joy quest. So I'm just really focused right now on appreciating this time to heal, and really trying to pull in and be more and more self-aware, and create opportunities for myself to be more present in my understanding of my own needs, and just be joyful. And I think that that was also connected to some of the fear that I had when I was first referred to the neurologist. I didn't really know anything about what a hemosiderin was and what the implications would be, and I made the mistake of doing some online research and found out about some conditions that were degenerative and scary, and I actually had myself worked up into a tither, and I don't do fear very well. I don't like being afraid, and I'm not usually afraid of too much, so it was not an easy emotion for me to manage. And I felt like I don't want to set myself back up for that kind of experience again. And when I found out that what I was dealing with didn't warrant that kind of fear, I thought, okay, but I need to maintain an awareness of the fact that I don't want to live a day-to-day life where I'm focusing on what scares me or what bad thing might come. I want to focus on really just beautiful days, and making sure that no matter what happens tomorrow, I'm really pleased with the day I had today. So I'm just going to putting that out there as a little food for thought, a little sharing, maybe a little motivation or uplift for some people that are struggling. You know, recovering from anything is challenging, and recovering from brain injury poses its own set of challenges, and also kind of limiting, not limiting, but isolating factors. And that's hard enough without us getting bogged down in the extra stuff that we create ourselves. So yeah, so that's where it is for today. I'm going to leave it there. It's a little muddled up and a little rapid, but I'm going to leave it there, and I'll come back in a few days, and I want to talk a little bit about the medical system and systems navigation and self-advocacy again. I think I started on some of that before. So we'll see you again soon. Take care.